That sniper is supposed to be seen. Rachel Morgan's voice stopped Cody Harris just before his finger tightened on the trigger. Through his optic, an enemy shooter was visible between two sun-bleached rocks on the northern ridge. Cody barely breathed. I have him. No, Rachel stayed low beside the shattered wall. He has you. Cody turned toward her, irritation flashing across his face. What are you talking about? Crack. The answer came from somewhere else. A round struck the stone edge inches above Cody's position, blasting dust and fragments across his shoulder. He dropped instantly. Commander Nathan Cole stared at the fresh impact mark. Then at Rachel. She wasn't watching the sniper Cody had found. She was looking east. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in courage and respect, hit like and subscribe. These stories inspire change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Rachel. The SEAL team had been pinned inside the abandoned village for 16 minutes. Every route out crossed open ground. Every opening seemed watched. Chief Eric Dawson crouched behind a collapsed doorway, binoculars raised. North Shooter is still there. Rachel shook her head. He wants to be. Cody wiped stone dust from his cheek. You saying he exposed himself on purpose? Rachel didn't answer. Another rifle cracked from the eastern ridge. She listened. 1 second. 2. 3. Then movement appeared near the northern rocks. The visible sniper withdrew. Rachel's eyes narrowed. Nathan noticed. What? He moved after the second shooter fired. So someone covered him. Nathan looked across the valley. Heat shimmer floated above empty stone. No obvious movement. No clear targets. Just mountains. Rachel studied the spaces between the ridges instead. Another distant report rolled through the valley. Different elevation. Different direction. Eric lowered his binoculars. That makes 3. Maybe, Rachel said. Cody stared at her. Maybe. Rachel watched a thin cloud of dust rise far beyond the eastern position. It disappeared almost immediately. Nathan followed her gaze but saw nothing. How many are out there? Rachel stayed silent for several seconds. She wasn't counting rifles. She was counting responsibilities. One shooter attracted attention. Another protected his movement. Someone else watched the team's escape route. And the valley still had too many quiet places. Finally, Rachel looked at Nathan. More than they want us to know. Another shot echoed across the mountains. Rachel lowered herself behind cover. And the one Cody almost fired at? Nathan waited. Rachel's expression hardened. He isn't their hunter. She glanced toward the exposed sniper position. He's their invitation. 6 hours earlier, the helicopter settled onto the forward operating base beneath a cloud of pale dust. Commander Nathan Cole stood near the landing zone with Chief Eric Dawson and Cody Harris as the side door opened. The woman who stepped out carried one faded duffel bag in a long black hard case. Rachel Morgan wore a standard combat uniform, her blonde hair secured beneath her cap, her expression calm despite the rotor wash whipping dust around her boots. Cody glanced at the case. That our extra support? Nathan checked the assignment message on his tablet. Special Operations Attachment. Morgan, Rachel. Cody waited for more. Nathan had nothing. Rachel approached them. Commander Cole. That's me. They shook hands. Her grip was brief and firm. Cody nodded toward the case. Comms. No, medical. No, he smiled. You planning to make me guess? Rachel looked at him. You can. Then she walked toward the operations building. Eric hid a grin. Nathan didn't. He was watching Rachel scan the perimeter as she moved. Guard tower. Rooftops. Vehicle line. Distant ridge. She looked everywhere except at the people watching her. 20 minutes later, the team gathered around a terrain map inside the briefing room. Nathan traced their route through the mountain valley. We enter from the south, cross the abandoned village, establish observation here, then move north. Rachel remained silent until the latest reconnaissance image appeared on the screen. How old is that imagery? Nathan checked the timestamp. 48 hours. Rachel stepped closer. 2 days. Cody leaned against the wall. Mountains should still be there. Rachel ignored him. Her eyes followed the narrow approaches between the ridges. The mountains aren't the problem. Nathan studied her. What is? She pointed toward the valley. We're looking at what was there. Her finger stopped beside the abandoned village. Not what's there now. Eric folded his arms. You expecting someone to prepare the ground? I'm saying 48 hours is enough time to change what matters. The room became quiet. Nathan looked from Rachel to the image. There was nothing dramatic in her voice. No attempt to impress them. Just caution delivered like experience. When the briefing ended, Cody walked past her black case. Still not telling us what you do? Rachel tightened a strap on her vest. If it matters, you'll know. Nathan heard her. He said nothing. But when Rachel stopped outside and stared toward the distant mountains, he found himself looking in the same direction. The valley felt wrong before anyone saw a weapon. Rachel Morgan noticed it 12 minutes after the team left the southern approach. No birds circled above the cliffs. No animals moved through the scattered brush. Even the abandoned village ahead seemed frozen beneath the hard afternoon sun. Nathan Cole raised a fist, stopping the team near a broken stone wall. Rachel crouched beside him. Hold here. Cody Harris glanced back. Something. Rachel studied the ground. A shallow line crossed the dust near the trail, almost erased by the wind. Something heavy had been dragged uphill. Farther ahead, a strip of fresh fabric clung to a thorn bush. Rachel looked toward the ridge above it. Someone moved equipment through here. Eric Dawson raised his binoculars. I don't see anyone. Neither do I. Cody gave her a questioning look. Then what are we stopping for? Rachel's eyes moved toward the village. Because I don't like how easy that approach looks. Nathan remembered the briefing. 48 hours is enough time to change what matters. Spread the spacing, he ordered. Nobody bunches up. Cody obeyed, though his expression showed doubt. The team widened its formation and moved forward. 30 seconds later, sunlight flashed between two rocks. Rachel saw it once. That was enough. Down. The rifle cracked. Everyone dropped. A round struck the stone where Cody and Eric would have been standing if Nathan had kept the original spacing. Fragments scattered across the trail. Cody stared at the impact. The doubt disappeared from his face. Sniper. Eric called. A second shot came from the eastern slope. Nathan pulled the team behind separate sections of cover. 2 positions. North and east. Rachel remained low, listening. Another shot came from the north. Pause. Then the east answered. She looked toward the abandoned village. Between 2 buildings ran a narrow corridor shielded from both visible shooters. Safe. Convenient. Too convenient. Nathan shifted beside her. We can move through the village. Not yet. He looked at her. Why? Rachel watched the corridor. The 2 shooters had revealed themselves quickly. Experienced snipers usually worked hard not to be seen. These men seemed almost careless. Unless being seen was part of the plan. Rachel turned toward Nathan. They're showing us where the danger is. Cody frowned. Isn't that good? Rachel's gaze stayed on the seemingly protected route ahead. Not if they're doing it so we'll choose where they want us to go. They're not hiding from us, Rachel Morgan said. They're steering us. Nathan Cole stayed low behind the fractured stone wall as another rifle report rolled across the valley. The round struck high above them, scattering pale dust over Cody Harris's shoulders. Cody barely reacted. His attention remained fixed on the two positions they had already identified. North shooter moved again. Because east covered him, Rachel said. Eric Dawson raised his binoculars toward the ridge. I've got nothing else. Rachel watched the spaces nobody was shooting at. That was where the answer was. North controlled one approach. East controlled another. Between them, the narrow village corridor remained strangely untouched. It looked like safety. Rachel was beginning to see it as a door someone had deliberately left open. A shot cracked from the north. Rachel counted silently. 1, 2, 3. The eastern shooter answered. Then, high above the village, a small patch of dust shifted behind a shelf of rock. There. Nathan followed her gaze. What? Movement above the corridor. Eric found the position through his binoculars. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then a dark shape withdrew behind stone. His expression tightened. Third position. Cody looked at Rachel. You saw him? No. I saw when he moved. Nathan understood first. The other two covered the relocation. Rachel nodded. Another shot echoed. This one came from farther away. Deeper in the valley. Eric lowered his binoculars. That wasn't north or east. Rachel turned toward the southern withdrawal route. No shots had come from there since the engagement began. That bothered her more than the gunfire. Someone's watching our exit. Cody frowned. You know that how? Because nobody else has to. Rachel studied the western shelf overlooking the route they had entered through. If the team retreated, that ridge would own the open ground. 4 jobs. 4 angles. But something still didn't fit. The visible shooters were coordinating too cleanly. Someone had to be watching the whole pattern. A faint report arrived from the deepest ridge. Nathan heard it too. Another one. Rachel raised her binoculars. Heat shimmer distorted the distant rocks. Then a tiny shadow disappeared behind them. 5. Nathan moved closer. How many shooters? 5. Cody stared at her. You actually see 5 men? Rachel lowered the binoculars. No, another rifle cracked across the valley. She listened to the echo fade between the mountains. I see 5 jobs being done. Silence settled behind the wall. Nathan looked from ridge to ridge. 2 hours earlier, he might have asked Rachel whether she was sure. Now he asked something different. What are the jobs? Rachel pointed toward the north. Bait. East. Cover. Above the village. Containment. West. Withdrawal control. Her eyes finally settled on the deepest ridge. And someone making sure the others keep working together. Cody looked toward the supposedly safe corridor. It didn't look safe anymore. Nathan's expression hardened. So this entire valley, Rachel nodded, was prepared before we walked into it. We're inside a cage, Eric Dawson said. Nathan Cole didn't answer. He was studying the valley through a narrow break in the wall, looking at terrain that had seemed empty less than an hour earlier. Now every ridge carried a purpose. North punished movement toward the village. East kept the team behind cover. West watched the route back. Somewhere deeper in the mountains, a 5th shooter held the entire pattern together. A rifle cracked. Stone fragments scattered near Nathan's boots. Cody Harris pulled farther behind the wall. "Support?" Nathan asked. Eric checked the radio. "Still unavailable. We're on our own." Cody looked toward the northern ridge. "We can't move forward. We can't pull back." Another shot echoed from above the village. He shook his head. "Those guys are unstoppable from here." Rachel Morgan turned toward him. "No," Cody gave her a tired look. "You seeing something the rest of us aren't?" "A habit." Rachel crawled toward a protected opening and studied the ridges. The enemy had controlled every decision because the SEALs had been reacting exactly as expected. "Move north," one rifle answered. "Shift east," another position took over. "Retreat south," the western shooter waited. Every response was connected. "They're comfortable," Rachel said. Nathan moved beside her. "Meaning?" "Nobody's forced them to make a bad decision yet." Eric lowered his binoculars. "And how do we do that?" Rachel's eyes dropped toward the precision rifle beside Cody. Nathan noticed. So did Cody. "You want this?" he asked. Rachel held out her hand. Cody hesitated only a moment before passing it over. She checked the rifle with quiet, practiced movements, then settled behind the opening. Nathan watched her expression. No excitement. No need to prove anything. Only concentration. "How many can you see?" he asked. "One." Cody stared at her. "1 out of 5. Rachel brought the optic to her eye. "That's enough." Across the valley, the northern shooter remained partially visible between two rocks. The same position that had tempted Cody earlier. Rachel watched him without touching the trigger. Nathan crouched beside her. "You have a plan?" Rachel stayed behind the optic. "I know what happens when we move." "That's their plan." "Exactly." She shifted her attention toward the eastern ridge. "So we stop moving first." Nathan studied her for another second. Earlier that morning, he would have asked whether she could make the shot. Now that question felt irrelevant. "What do you need?" Rachel finally looked at him. That was the first question all day that sounded right. "Eyes on east and west. Nobody fires unless I call it." Nathan nodded immediately. "Done." Eric moved into position. Cody raised his binoculars. Rachel returned to the rifle. The visible sniper shifted slightly. Cody whispered, "There. Take him." Rachel didn't fire. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. The target disappeared. Cody looked at her. "You lost him." Rachel's eyes moved toward another ridge. "No," a faint shadow shifted high above the village. Then another position reacted farther east. Rachel's expression changed. "I just made him tell me who moves when he does. Don't shoot the man you can see." Cody Harris lowered his binoculars and looked at Rachel Morgan. "You just said he's enough." "He is." Rachel kept her eye against the optic. "Just not yet." The northern shooter appeared again between the rocks. His exposure was brief, but clear enough. Cody whispered, "There." Rachel remained motionless. The sniper disappeared. Cody exhaled through his nose. "That's twice." Commander Nathan Cole stayed beside Rachel. He didn't interrupt. He had finally understood that the target in her scope wasn't the real objective. Rachel was waiting for what happened around him. A rifle cracked from the east. 4 seconds later, movement appeared above the village. "Third position shifting," Eric Dawson reported. Rachel tracked it but didn't fire. Then Cody spoke. "West Ridge." Something moved. Rachel's eyes narrowed. There it was. One shooter exposed himself. Another covered. A third adjusted. A fourth reacted to the change. And somewhere deeper, the fifth watched the system bend without breaking. Rachel had been missing one thing. Sequence. Now she had it. Nathan. What do you need? When I fire, nobody moves. Nathan nodded. Understood. Eric keeps east. Cody watches west. I want every change called. Cody settled behind his binoculars. No joke this time. Got it. The northern shooter returned. Rachel's breathing slowed. Her finger rested near the trigger. Cody waited. You taking him? Not yet. Another second. Then two. The shooter shifted. East responded almost immediately. Above the village, the third position adjusted. Rachel finally saw the dependency clearly. If north went silent, east would widen coverage. That would force the upper shooter to compensate. West would then have to protect the withdrawal route alone. The network would stretch. And stretched systems made mistakes. Rachel lifted her cheek from the stock. Now I know who moves when he disappears. Nathan looked toward the ridges. And the fifth? He's the one I still can't predict. Problem? Rachel returned to the optic. Only if I pretend I can. Nathan almost smiled. It was the first uncertainty she had admitted all day, and somehow it made him trust her more. A shot struck the outer wall. Dust drifted down around them. Rachel waited for the echo to fade. Then the northern sniper appeared again. This time, Nathan didn't ask whether she had the shot. Cody didn't tell her to take it. Everyone simply watched their assigned sector. Rachel exhaled slowly. The valley seemed to hold its breath with her. 5 shooters had spent the afternoon forcing the SEALs to react. Now Rachel was about to reverse the pressure. Eyes up, she whispered. Eric tightened his grip on the binoculars. Cody focused west. Nathan raised one hand, keeping the team still. Rachel settled the rifle. After this, she said quietly, don't watch where I shoot. Her finger began to tighten. Watch who moves. The shot changed the valley. Rachel Morgan squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked against the stone walls, and the northern shooter vanished behind the pale rocks. Rachel immediately shifted her optic east. Call movement. Cody Harris ignored the position she had fired at and searched west. Eric Dawson watched the eastern shelf. 3 seconds passed. East moving, Eric said. Rachel saw it. The second shooter was widening his coverage exactly as she expected. Above the village, another shadow shifted. Upper position moving, Cody called. West is still quiet. Rachel didn't fire. Commander Nathan Cole watched the pattern unfold around them. One shot had done what 30 minutes of defensive movement could not. It had forced the enemy to react. Rachel? Wait. The eastern shooter settled behind a new section of rock. For an instant, part of his position became visible. Rachel adjusted. Crack. The second report rolled across the valley. East went quiet, Eric said. Rachel was already looking higher. The third shooter had lost the coverage protecting his relocation. A dark shape moved beneath the upper shelf. There, Cody whispered. Rachel waited until the movement stopped. Crack. The rifle recoiled against her shoulder. Silence followed from above the village. No movement, Cody said. Nathan looked across the ridges. 3 positions had gone quiet, but Rachel's expression hadn't changed. West? She asked. Cody searched. Nothing. Deep ridge? Eric scanned farther out. Nothing there either. Rachel lifted her face from the rifle. The remaining shooters had stopped following the pattern. That was the problem. Wind moved dust through the abandoned street. No rifles answered. No shadows shifted. No one attempted to restore the broken coverage. Nathan understood what the silence meant. They changed tactics. Rachel nodded. They had to. A sudden shot struck the wall near her former position. Stone fragments scattered across the floor. Nathan pulled lower. Cody swung his binoculars west. Western Ridge. Another report followed from much farther back. The round struck a different section of the building. Rachel looked at both impact points. Neither shot had been aimed at the team's escape route. Neither had been intended to push the SEALs toward the village. The last two shooters weren't rebuilding the cage. They were searching. Nathan looked at Rachel. They know. Yes. They know you're breaking the network. Rachel checked the rifle and shifted away from the opening. Cody's expression tightened. So now what? Rachel looked toward the silent ridges. For the first time, the enemy was no longer trying to control 6 SEALs. Their attention had narrowed to one person. Her. Nathan moved beside her. We pull you back. Rachel shook her head. Not yet. They're hunting you now. She looked at him calmly. Which means they stopped watching everyone else. Nathan held her gaze. Then he understood. The enemy had finally made the mistake Rachel had been waiting for. They had abandoned the system that made them dangerous. Rachel lifted the rifle. Now we make them choose. They're watching me now. Rachel Morgan stayed below the broken window as another distant rifle report rolled through the valley. Commander Nathan Cole crouched beside her. Then you're done exposing yourself. Rachel looked toward the western ridge. If I disappear completely, they disappear too. And if you give them another chance, they'll have to choose between me and the rest of you. Nathan understood what she meant. The last two shooters had abandoned their original coverage to focus on Rachel. That made her vulnerable. It also created openings that hadn't existed 20 minutes earlier. Nathan touched his radio. Eric, watch west. Cody, stay on the deep ridge. Nobody moves without a call. Copy, Eric Dawson answered. Cody Harris shifted behind another section of stone. West is quiet. Rachel moved deeper into the ruined building, using the interior walls to break the enemy's view. She stopped beside a collapsed doorway. From there, she could see a narrow section of the western slope. Nathan. Ready. Give them movement on the opposite side. Nathan signaled Eric. A brief shadow crossed behind a protected opening. The response came seconds later. Crack. Stone burst from the wall. West, Cody said. Rachel listened. She didn't answer the shot. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. Why isn't the other one firing? Nathan asked. Because he's waiting for me to react. Rachel stayed still. The western shooter shifted slightly, searching for a better view. Cody caught the movement. I have something. Left of the pale shelf. Rachel found the area through her optic. A dark shape appeared, then disappeared. She waited. Another movement. Enough. The rifle cracked. The western position went silent. But Rachel immediately pulled away from the doorway. Move. Nathan didn't ask why. The team shifted behind deeper cover. A second later, a round struck the position Rachel had just abandoned. Cody stared at the impact. Last shooter. Rachel nodded. And now he knows he's alone. Eric scanned the deepest ridge. Nothing. He won't stay there, Rachel said. He needs another angle or a way out. Nathan studied the terrain. Then we let him leave. Rachel shook her head. We let him decide where he thinks we can't see him. Seconds stretched. Wind carried dust through the empty village. Then Cody whispered, "Movement. High ridge." A distant figure crossed a narrow opening between two rock formations. Rachel repositioned, but she didn't rush the shot. The figure vanished again. Nathan looked at her. "Lost him?" "No." Rachel watched the next section of terrain. "He only has two covered routes." A shadow appeared farther along the ridge. Rachel settled behind the rifle, exhaled, and fired. The report echoed once, then faded into the mountains. No answer came. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Rachel remained behind the optic. Cody finally spoke. "Nothing moving." Nathan looked toward her. "All 5?" Rachel lowered the rifle slowly. 5 positions stopped firing. She stood and checked the valley once more. "We verify before we celebrate." Nathan nodded. That answer mattered. Rachel had broken the sniper network, but she wasn't interested in turning uncertainty into a victory speech. The team began preparing to move. Cody passed beside her and stopped. Hours earlier, he would have had something clever to say. Now he simply gave her a quiet nod. Rachel returned it. Across the valley, the ridges that had controlled every decision the SEALs made were finally silent. 5 confirmed. Nathan Cole looked up from the secure report as Chief Eric Dawson stepped into the operations room. For a moment, neither man said anything. The follow-up team had cleared the valley after sunset. 5 hostile sniper positions had been identified and neutralized. The routes that had trapped the SEALs for nearly an hour were open again. Nathan closed the report. "Morgan. Armory." Across the compound, Cody Harris was already there. Rachel Morgan stood beside the workbench, dust still marking the sleeves of her uniform. The borrowed rifle lay between them. Cody checked the optic one last time before sliding it toward her. "Everything's clean." Rachel inspected it. "You didn't have to do that." Cody shrugged. "I know. 6 hours earlier, he would have followed that with a joke. This time, he simply met her eyes and nodded. Rachel returned the rifle. "Thanks." Cody picked it up carefully and walked away. Nathan entered several minutes later carrying nothing but a question he no longer needed to ask. Before coming to the armory, he had received partial access to Rachel's personnel file. Most of the meaningful sections were restricted. Locations were removed. Mission details were redacted. But enough remained visible. Advanced reconnaissance. Precision operations. Special mission attachments. Deployments Nathan had never been cleared to read about. He stopped beside the workbench. Rachel's black hard case was open now. Her own precision rifle rested inside the fitted foam. 5 positions confirmed, Nathan said. Rachel looked up. "Good." No smile. No celebration. Just confirmation. Nathan almost laughed. "That's all you've got?" "We came back. They didn't keep control of the valley. That was the job." Nathan studied her for a moment. "I saw part of your file." Rachel began checking her equipment. "Then you saw more than Cody." "Not much more. Probably intentional." Nathan nodded. That sounded exactly like her. Outside the armory, Eric passed the open doorway. He looked inside, caught Rachel's eye, and gave her a quiet nod before continuing across the compound. Rachel watched him go. Nathan noticed. "Things feel different." "No, Cody cleaned the rifle for you." "He cleaned the rifle for himself." Nathan smiled. "You're going to make this difficult, aren't you?" Rachel closed one compartment in the case. "Only if you're trying to make a speech." That stopped him. Then he laughed quietly. "Fair enough." He turned toward the door, but paused. "Morgan." Rachel looked up. Nathan's expression became serious again. Next time you tell me something's wrong with the terrain, I'm listening the first time. Rachel held his gaze. That usually saves time. Nathan nodded. Good work today. Team effort. He left without adding anything else. Rachel looked down at the rifle in the black case. That morning, she had arrived as an unexpected attachment nobody understood. By evening, nobody needed the classified pages to explain her. The Valley had done that. 5 enemy snipers had controlled every movement the SEALs made until Rachel recognized the pattern holding them together and helped the team break it apart. She never asked anyone to trust her. She never demanded recognition. Rachel closed the black case with a quiet click. By then, respect was already waiting for her outside the armory.